one-sided, narrow-minded hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth.
Isn't it funny? The truth just sounds different.
Hi there, Shalom, how you all doing? In a previous video entitled Prepping is Biblical, I talked about the need for people to get ready for what is coming, because that's what prepping is. It's preparation for the unforeseen and for things that you know are coming. Now, my estimation is that a lot of people, well, there's those people who aren't awake to what's going on in the world, and they're not going to prepare for anything. You know, they rely totally on the supermarkets for their ready meals that they only have to throw into the microwave for 5 minutes, and that's it. They sit down in front of the TV and get mesmerized by the prevailing propaganda. But even amongst those people, I'm talking also about the people that I meet with in the gatherings on Sunday mornings in the parks and things, those people who do know what's going on in the world, even those people, I think, some of them at least, who have an idea of what's coming next, and are aware that this current global sickness is just a step along the way. It's just a milestone in the greater agenda. I think a lot of those people aren't prepared either. Not all of them, but far too many, I think. From what I can gather, just talking with them, part of the reason for that is, I think, and this is a very human failing, if you like, I will call it a failing, that people are short-sighted. What I mean is that most people tend to only be concerned about those things that directly affect them now. Now, even if, and it does look like it's happening, that this current global sickness goes away, and these highly dubious medical procedures that the global powers that be are telling people they've got to undergo, otherwise we can never get back to normal until everybody's been to the medical centre and had this procedure performed upon them. Even if these things go away, It's what's coming next that people need to prepare for. They need to realise that there is going to be something coming next. Preparing for the next thing, whatever that might be. Looking at the world geopolitically, looks like we could possibly be heading towards something that happened in the earlier part of last century. Two things, in fact. Between the dates of 1914 and 1918 and 1939 to 1945, if you get my drift. We could be having a third one. Whichever way you look at it, it is quite apparent, to me certainly, that the current global system is crumbling and eventually will collapse completely. So what are you going to do when the things that you have grown used to, the everyday domestic comforts and conveniences, cease to exist, or are no longer made available to you because you haven't fallen into line with the instructions of the powers that be? What are you going to do? I recently watched a video by a guy called Pastor Joe Fox, and he's the pastor of Shofar Mountain Community, deep in the Ozark Mountains of America. Now, although he is a Bible-believing pastor, he was formerly a Special Forces soldier. He was a Green Beret. And his video was about prepping, but it was focusing on two main things, in his words, that will kill you when the system comes down. They are starvation and bad people. People who want to do you harm. Now, on the subject of starvation, you're going to need food. That's the cure for starvation. You're going to need food. Now, we are already seeing the beginnings of a global food shortage. This was predicted by people at least 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we're seeing it now, particularly in the USA. Supermarkets in America have aisles of empty shelves where there used to be food. A lot of people in America right now cannot get food. Certainly not the food that they are used to obtaining from these supermarkets. And it's not just food either, but we're going to concentrate on food for this. If you haven't started stocking up on food already, you need to start doing so now. And it's easy, it's the way I did it. For maybe a year, every time I went to the supermarket, I bought some extra food. Long life food. Food that wasn't going to go off, that didn't need refrigeration. Dried foods and food in cans. Rice, oatmeal, tins of tuna fish, beans, fruit, tinned fruit. You're going to need your 5 a day. And protein. And vitamins. Your tins of meat will cover your protein. Fish is a good one. Tuna fish, mackerel, pilchards, sardines. But you're going to need your vitamins as well. So jars of Marmite and Bovril. Jars of peanut butter. Loads of protein and carbohydrate. Jars of honey. Tell them about the honey, Mummy. You're going to need all this stuff. And you need to start stocking up with it, little by little, according to your means. If you don't have much money, if you're on a low-paid job and you're just really only managing to make ends meet, then fine, start little. If, after a few months of doing this, you only manage to have stocked up 2 or 3 weeks' supply of food, hey, that's 2 or 3 weeks' supply of food that people who haven't prepared don't have. Ideally, you need 3 or 4 months' supply of food, preferably 6 months' supply of food. Some of the guys I've been seeing, some of the guys I've been following on YouTube and elsewhere, they have a year's supply of food or more stashed away on shelves in a basement somewhere or in their secret bug out location. But you really need to start doing this. The number of people I've talked to and I just hint that I have been prepping, a number of people who say, and I know they say it in jest, now, oh, well, when shit hits the fan, I'm coming to your place. Well, hang on a minute. I've been preparing for me, not for the entire community. If you know that you should be prepping, or you should have been prepping, and haven't done, speaking seriously now, is it fair to expect other people who have been preparing to feed you because you haven't prepared, even though you knew you should be preparing and have had the means to prepare, at least to some extent at least? Is it fair to expect me and people like me to just hand out our food to you? Now, sure, good friends of mine and family and people, I would be really callous and cold-hearted to say, no, sorry mate, go find your own food, and shut the door on their faces. And there will be people like that. And I will feel some sense of duty to feed them. But in those cases, hey, guess what? You're going to work for your food. If, like me, you have a primary bug-out location, which is where all my food stocks are, then, yeah, maybe I'll invite you to have food, but you will work for it. You will be, hey, firewood is going to be something that everyone will need, so guess what? You'll be on firewood duty, which means that you will be cutting firewood for me and yourself, because you'll need it as well, or collecting water. You have to think about these things. Now, the people I've just been talking about, I'm not including them in this necessarily, but people are strange creatures. The bad people in these situations are likely to be people who turn up on your doorstep saying, hey, have you got any food? Or, more to the point, hey, we know you've got some stocks of food. Can you spare us some cans of beans? And if you say no, survival instinct will kick in, and the likelihood is, or there is the potential, for them to turn nasty. Very nasty. Maybe. Which is why you want to be very selective about the people who you tell concerning your preps. So, if you are able to prep, and you see the need to prepare, go do it. Get down the supermarket while you still can, while there's still food on the shelves, and spend some money. Be ready, guys. I have been saying these things for certainly the last 2 years, but as well for the last 4 or 5 years I have been saying to people, get yourselves prepared. And if you're a Bible believer, please just read your Bible. believe it and do something about it, because it's all there. What's coming? Alright. I'm not going to labour this point anymore. Go ahead. Get yourselves ready. You'll thank me for it. Till next time. Shalom.